Okay, so ready to dive in. Today we are taking a closer look at, a real classic,
Mm-hmm.
The Great Gatsby
Yes.
by F. Scott Fitzgerald.
He's
Now,
such a good one.
it is. And, everyone I think has at least heard of this book,
Oh, for sure.
even if they haven't read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's just so much to unpack
Oh, yeah.
with this story. We've got, like, the glitz and the glamour of the Roaring Twenties, those crazy parties.
Yes.
And, of course,
The jazzy.
the Jazz Age. But at the center of it all,
Right.
we have Gatsby, right?
Yeah.
This mysterious millionaire
Mm-hmm.
pining for his lost love, Daisy.
A classic
A
tale.
classic, absolutely. But, we're not just going to skim the surface here.
No, we're going deep.
Right, we're going deep. We want to really get into all the symbolism that Fitzgerald's using. The, the idea of the American dream
Yes.
and how it plays out or maybe doesn't play out in the story.
Absolutely, because what's so interesting about Gatsby is that it takes this idea of the American dream, which, for many is all about upward mobility, achieving wealth and success.
Right.
But Fitzgerald really turns it on its head. He's not celebrating it. He's really dissecting it.
Yeah.
Showing us the dark side, the emptiness that can come with it.
And Gatsby himself is kind of a walking contradiction, isn't he?
Absolutely. Here's this guy who seemingly has it all. The wealth, the mansion, those lavish parties we talked about.
Right.
But he's utterly fixated on this past love, Daisy.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he thinks if he can just win her back, it'll validate his success. Like it's the missing piece
Oh, interesting.
of his American dream puzzle.
Yeah. So it's like, is he really in love with Daisy or is he in love with this idea of her?
That's the question, isn't it? Because you're right. It's almost like Daisy represents this lost era for him, a time before the war, a time of innocence.
Right.
And he's desperately trying to recapture that by winning her back.
Okay, but there's also that whole social class element, right?
Absolutely.
Because Daisy comes from this world of old money.
Right. Yeah, the established elite.
Right. And Gatsby, despite his wealth, he's still kind of an outsider to that world.
Exactly. And that's where you see the limits of the American dream. Because no matter how much money Gatsby accumulates,
Right.
he can't buy his way into that inner circle.
Yeah. It's like he's constantly striving, reaching for something that he can never quite grasp.
And Fitzgerald is so good at capturing that sense of longing, of yearning.
Right.
Think about the green light, for example.
Oh, yes, the green light.
At the end of Daisy's dock, it becomes this symbol, this beacon of everything Gatsby desires.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like this physical representation of his unattainable dream.
Exactly. It's so close, yet so far away. And in a way, that green light represents the American dream itself. Always tantalizing, always just out of reach.
Yeah, it's interesting because, on the one hand, you have this like captivating world of Gatsby's parties, and all the champagne and the music.
Energy.
Yeah, the energy. But then on the other hand, you have this undercurrent of like emptiness.
Oh, absolutely.
And even like moral decay.
Right.
Well,
and I think that's where Fitzgerald's critique of 1920s society really comes through.
Okay.
Because he's showing us how this pursuit of wealth and pleasure,
Right.
it can be so destructive, it leaves people feeling hollow
Right.
and disconnected.
Like take Tom Buchanan, for example. Daisy's husband.
Oh, yeah, Tom. He embodies that careless, entitled attitude of the upper class.
Right.
And then you have Jordan Baker, who's just as cynical, just as focused on superficiality.
Right.
They're all kind of caught in this web of their own making, always searching for the next thrill,
Right.
but never finding any real satisfaction.
So in a way, they're all chasing their own green lights, aren't they?
That's a great way to put it. They're all pursuing these illusions, these empty dreams. And ultimately, it leads to tragedy.
Yeah, and Gatsby's fate is a real warning, isn't it?
Absolutely. Fitzgerald is showing us that chasing the wrong dream,
Right.
a dream that's built on, these superficial desires and societal pressures, it can have devastating consequences.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, how much has really changed since the 1920s?
That's the big question, isn't it? I mean, are we still captivated by the same illusions?
Right.
Are we still defining success by these external markers? Wealth, status, possessions. It's something to think about for sure.
So I think we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
And I hope everyone listening has a little bit of a deeper understanding of The Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
It's not just a love story.
No.
It's a commentary on the American dream,
Absolutely.
on society, on, what it means to truly belong.
Right.
And Gatsby's story.
Yeah.
It serves as a reminder to, really examine our own aspirations. What are we chasing?
Right.
And are we letting those societal pressures dictate our choices?
It's about finding your own green light, one that leads to genuine fulfillment.
Right, exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into The Great Gatsby. I hope you'll, continue to explore this book and all its complexities.
Absolutely.
And maybe even reevaluate your own green lights a little bit.
Yes, and think about what truly matters to you.
Exactly. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
See you then.